Okay, Freddy Ramos, McCaskey head coach, joining us here. Lancaster Lebanon League Media Day. Good day, my friend. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Yeah, we were just talking about, the fact that this is, what do you call this now? I mean, it's not winter.
It's basketball season. Yeah,
And you can put this a little bit closer there. Everybody can hear you. There you go.
All right, there we go.
There you go. You can hear it a lot better there. But so talk a little bit about your off season. I mean, we've had a complete off season this year for the first time in a while. How has that, worked for you, and what do you try and accomplish in the off season to get your team ready for the regular season?
Yeah. Fortunately, this was our first off season post COVID that really looked like what off seasons used to look like beforehand. By that, I mean we got a team camp in this summer. Pretty active in our summer leagues we're playing in, and our gym was pretty full. Where this fall we didn't participate, anything outside of any leagues or anything, because we had good numbers in our own gym where we could get real good competitive play. This off season, I mean, personally, we finished last year really strong late, and so we took 3 days off, and we had kids that wanted to get in the gym, and we did that. We listened. So yeah, we've been in the gym since February. And what am I most proud of this off season? Our investment into our culture and our program. It's paying off. We've got good leadership. So.
Well, talk about the leadership of this team. How many seniors and how many returning starters do you have?
Yeah, so we have this year. We look a lot like my first year, where we have a senior-heavy team. We actually have 11 seniors and 3 juniors.
Wow.
That's led by our point guard, our leader, Jonathan Bird. So this will be, he's actually a 4-year varsity player. Deshaun McFadden has had a really good all season for us as well. Both John and Deshaun have really, worked on their shooting and improved on that aspect. We've got Eric Centeno and Elias Garcia, who are they round out our returning varsity players. I think the 4 of those kids, there's a reason why there's 4 kids with us here today, honestly, just because we can't preach together and not be together. And so we've been together this off season, so it was important to me going into today hearing 3 players saying, well, I've got 4, and I'm not breaking this thing on the eve of us starting our season.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the way that you talk about you're listening to your guys or whatever like that, do you think that back and forth is important for building team chemistry?
Yeah. It's so much of coaching is about relationships, and so I think that if you're not listening to your players, obviously it's going to impact their relationship, because they're not heard, and they have to feel that you value them from that aspect. So yeah, we definitely, we're always talking to each other. It's funny. Somebody asked me earlier. They said, what have you learned the most in your years at McCaskey? And it's to listen to my players more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what are the expectations for the team this season?
Yeah, so I mean, first one is to win game 1 at Coatesville. Like that's we have to win game 1 at Coatesville. From a program perspective, as we look at our goals and our season, which we've broke down into quite a few mini seasons. So that's kind of how we go into the 22 game schedule. We're not looking at 22. We're looking at 2, right, and then 1. So that's kind of how we
Interesting.
How we break
kind of in a football
down.
approach where, for football, it's always in quarters,
Yeah.
I mean, the season. I don't know how they do that with 17 games now.
Yeah.
So, just 3 and, 1. But so you break it down, and so do you have, goals that you establish by each one of those little sections?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
We have all that. So, those things, honestly, I lead the program. It starts with me. So, we have 9 seasons.
Wow.
That's what makes our 22 games. And then each of those kind of minis, we've gone in and say, what do we expect out of that? I mean, realistically, who walks into, what coach walks in and says, I plan to lose, right?
Yeah,
so you're not doing that. But I think for us, as we kind of visualize things in, like any goal, you break it down into smaller ones, it helps our focus as a program. So, I don't want to focus on our first home game till we take care of our 2 road games in our opener. So it's very easy to say, hey, Reading, and you can go into Coatesville and get ran over because you weren't focused.
Emotionally, right. Emotionally, I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
Teams will say, oh, it's just all about Reading, whatever like that. So you get that, and then the emotional drain from, either achieving or everything that you've poured into that just kind of carries on. And I can understand, where you're saying that, obviously, how do you get your team, kind of level that way? Is it that breakdown that you talk about, that they don't get too high or don't get too low? Because it is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yeah. I think that, and strategically, it's why we have a senior-heavy team this year, is having a group of kids that have experienced winning and losing and how to handle those situations. So I think, right now we got kids that have, we've talked about last year, and that conversation kind of brought us to develop our goals for this year. So last year, we lost a lot of close games early, and they're late. I think it was 7 of 8 that we ended up winning to close our season. So we were the same. We didn't put new stuff into our system. Honestly, we approached our preparation and game different, and a lot of that came with the maturity of having a group that learned from their mistakes. And that includes me. So.
Yeah, that's the best thing is that everybody is mature enough to understand that nobody's perfect, and you do you try and get better every day. I mean that's really what life is, let alone playing basketball, right?
Absolutely.
Well, listen, thank you for your time today.
Definitely.
Wish you all the luck in the world. I mean, it should be a lot of fun watching you guys as always, and thanks for spending some time today. Okay,
and thank you. I appreciate how you guys cover our sport and the way you promote and elevate the kids that are participating in.